Ooh, what's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG WTF LOL FTW BRB. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. We are playing as the WWF in the year 2001. Oh shit. But more importantly, we are booking the invasion angle. Just threw my phone down on my laptop. Before we get to the show, we had a couple locker room incidents. So not Stevie Richards, we'll get to that in a second. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, once again, we've had this incident before, he missed a pre-show media appearance. He said he was claiming to forget. This time I think the last one it said it was like a pre-show match. I don't think it said a pre-show media appearance. Could have been, but to me the media is kind of important. You know, you're supposed to represent our company. If you're forgetting that, then the hell are you doing? So we gave him a stern warning. Unfortunately, nothing happened out of it. Absolutely nothing. So, I don't know. Also, like I was saying before, Stevie Richards, of course the leader of the Right to Censor, he lightened the mood, which is like the exact opposite of what the Right to Censor does. But he lightened the mood in the locker room after doing several funny drawings of his colleagues. Maybe the Dudley Boys were a couple of those drawings, who knows. And also, us, Vince McMahon, we passed along some skills to our proteges. We passed along psychology to Shane McMahon, and we passed along microphone skills to Stephanie McMahon. Of course, they being the son and daughter of Vince McMahon, so it makes sense for him to pass down those skills. Other than that, I have nothing really else to say, I guess. I mean, if you're wondering what's been with the delay of videos, I've been working quite a lot. I had my wrestling training on the weekend. It's been a bit of a busy time for me. Today's my day off, so I finally had a time to sit down and record. We're also probably going to get some Advance Wars out today. Either way, let's go ahead and run the show. Nothing else really to say. We only have one pre-show match of the night. I really didn't have many people I wanted to get on the show, and everyone I did got on the show, so we only have one pre-show match tonight. Lance Storm taking on Taka Michinoku in a pre-show bout that had decent wrestling but little heat. Lance Storm defeating Taka with the last call. And got a C rating, not too bad. Lance Storm with the in-ring performance of a C+, Taka Michinoku with a D+. For this match, you'll notice it says 7 minutes and 51 seconds. I don't know if this changed from Total Extreme Wrestling 2013 to 2016, but I remember in 2013, if you had like jobbers in a match for longer than like 5 or 6 minutes, and when I say jobbers, I mean like enhancement talents and openers, usually it was like the fans weren't too pleased to seeing this person perform for this long or something like that. So I went ahead and made Taka a lower mid-carder for this match only, really, because once I do auto push again, he's not going to be a lower mid-carder. And, yeah, just to make sure it got a decent grade. So Lance Storm with a C+, and Taka Michinoku with a D+, no worker improvements. Let's go ahead and start the show, shall we, nerds and geeks? Wow, good way to start it off. Starting off with an A rating tonight. Shane McMahon and WCW are out in the ring to open up Thursday Night SmackDown, not Friday Night SmackDown. And Shane says, "What's up?" I'm assuming we're in Boston and we're in Massachusetts. So, what's up, Boston? Insert city name here. Things just keep getting better and better for the WCW. First, we've captured WWF Gold, the Hardcore, and what was formerly known as the European Championship. We've also got two WCW top guys in Booker T and Diamond Dallas Page, putting those WWF guys in their place. And now we've got the United States Championship back along with an Olympic gold medalist representing WCW. But more importantly, we get to embarrass my dad and the WWF once and for all. What am I saying? Once and for all at one of their big 4 pay-per-views, when Kurt Angle proves that he's 100 times better than Chris Benoit, when DDP proves who's the real People's Champion, and most importantly, when the four-time WCW Champion Booker T puts down the most annoying man in the world, Chris Jericho. Unfortunately for Shane McMahon, looks like that's going to come back and haunt him, because Chris Jericho's music interrupts him, and he makes his way out to the entryway, and Chris says, "Oh, Shane, you're far too kind. Of course, I'm not going to take any insults to the heart, especially when they come from a man." Let's get rid of all this real quick. I love when we have to do this, don't you guys? There we go. especially coming from a guy who dances down to the ring looking like a total jackass. But you know, Shane, I couldn't help but overhear you hyping up your sheep in the middle of the ring. You've got the love child of Whoopi Goldberg and a pineapple. And then there's Diamond I'm Not From Dallas Page, who in all honesty looks like a stalker. A little bit of a jab from, the WWF angle between DDP and Undertaker. I thought, why not? I'd keep your wives away from this guy. And then there's you, Kirk Angel, the turncoat. For calling yourself a true American, you sure took a lot of inspiration from Benedict Arnold. I mean, have you never heard of Ric Flair, a.k.a. the Crypt Keeper? The guy's nickname is the dirtiest player in the game. He's turned on pretty much anyone that's aligned with him and only gives a damn about himself. It's only a matter of time before he takes those gold medals around your neck and uses them to strangle you. But before that happens, Kirk, I hear you've got this Angle Open Invitational for the U.S. title you've been doing. And I say, let's not waste any time. Why don't we start that Open Invitational right now? And why don't I accept it so not only can I take the United States Championship back to Mr. McMahon and the WWF, along with kicking your ass before Ric Flair does it before me. And then Flair says, enough, that's enough. No, you will not be getting a U.S. title shot. In fact, me and the champ have already had a talk, and the Kurt Angle U.S. Open is no more. There is no one in the back that is deserving to step in the ring with a true American like Kurt Angle. And then Jericho responds, figures, I should have known that Ric Flair would have taken the only thing that was interesting about Kurt Angle. I mean, if I'm being honest, though, I didn't really even want to fight you, Kirk. Actually, I want to fight you, DDP. Yeah, because we've all seen how much you love to get involved in matches, especially if it either involves The Rock or the WCW World title. And it just so happens that Chris Jericho gets a shot for that title at SummerSlam. And I'm not going to have you costing me my shot. So how about it, Paige? You going to step up, or you going to stand in the background while the homemade WWF guys overshadow the WCW People's Champion? A little bit of a jab since Kurt Angle's now a part of the team. I don't know if I have to explain these things to you guys, but at the same time, I don't want to go over your head. So then we have Shane respond, Jericho, are you an idiot? You don't get to come out here and make challenges. What do you have to offer me? I'm not going to put one of my biggest stars who has a huge match upcoming at SummerSlam. I'm not about to risk some jackass like yourself injuring one of my top talents. Right when he says that, though, DDP, starts whispering in Shane's ear. We see Shane have a big smirk come over his face, and he says, actually, Chris, DDP just informed me that he wants to use you as an example so he can show The Rock what he's getting into at SummerSlam. So, Chris, if you want to risk injuring yourself before your big match at SummerSlam, then be our guest. And then Jericho says, sounds like a date. We've got a date then. I'll see you out there, Junior. And that sets up our main event tonight, which will be Chris Jericho battling Diamond Dallas Page. So we have got the crowd off to a strong start. Jericho looked good. Fans are apparently getting bored by the hints of Angle's face turn, but patience, fans, patience. And both the Invasion storyline and the Jericho Booker T storyline gained some heat from this segment. I wonder if that's going to start affecting us, though. We then come back from what I presume to be after a commercial break. We get a B rating in this segment, which is pretty surprising for Chris Benoit and Mark Jindrak, to be honest. Back from commercial, Benoit, he's in the middle of the ring with a microphone, and he says, so Kurt Angle said that I've got a stranglehold over my Intercontinental title, and how I refuse to defend it against anyone. Well, that's just not true. I refuse to defend my championship against someone who comes up short every time we step in the ring with each other. But I find it funny how Kurt said that. And then just a few minutes ago, we found out that Kurt's U.S. Open is officially closed. Kind of hypocritical if you ask me. So since I love to prove Kurt wrong, and since he's got a stranglehold on his title, I thought why not have the Benoit Intercontinental Open. So if there's anyone in the back that thinks they can pry this title out of my hands, then I dare you to come out and try. Then we hear Mark Jindrak, the returning Mark Jindrak's music hits. as he makes his way down to the ring while the announcers, put over that, and that's Mark Jindrak. He's back from his injury. And he wastes no time. He gets in the ring and he accepts Chris Benoit's challenge. So Mark Jindrak, I believe we suspended him for 30 days. It was, I think it was like for steroids or some sort of, I think it was steroids. I don't really remember exactly what it was, but we suspended him for 30 days, which sucked because, he became the Undertaker's protege. So I was like, oh, I'm going to try to give Mark Jindrak a push. And then the next night he does that. So we bring him back though. Hopefully he learned his lesson. I'm really surprised with this. Not only, it says it deserved better announcing and it got the crowd hotter. Benoit and Angle's storyline gained heat as well. I'm just really surprised because Benoit's really not that great on the mic and Mark Jindrak's not over. But it worked out for the better. And we're just going to go with the whole Mark Jindrak was injured angle. So we then go on to said match, which gets us a C. Oops, I didn't mean to. My bad, I forgot to do that, but whatever, we'll just deal with it. In a decent match, Chris Benoit defeating Mark Jindrak with the crippler crossface, making his fourth defense of the Intercontinental Championship. If we look at our booking details, or our road agent notes, I should say, I had the aim of the match was to work the crowd because I remember back in Total Extreme Wrestling 2016 that you could have, the first match of the night, I usually had the person hyping up the crowd to kind of get the crowd warmed up. Because I believe back in 2013 that angles really didn't get the crowd hot. So I forgot about that. That's my bad. Whatever, it doesn't really matter too much. Benoit with an A performance to Jindrak's D+. Vastly different from each other. I wonder how much better this match would have been if we didn't do that. Mark Jindrak's also improving in Rumble, so there is that. I want to check out Mark Jindrak's dirt sheet things. He's got star quality, high morale. He's got chemistry. For his motivation, not chemistry of Chris Benoit. Yeah, that was my bad. He doesn't really have any negatives, though. So, why is this plus all the way down here? Whatever, who cares? We move on from this. We go on to a B+. B+. Benoit, he's celebrating after his victory over Mark Jindrak when Kurt Angle's music hits, and he, alongside Ric Flair, make their way down to the entryway, and Kurt says, "Congratulations, Chris. Congrats on retaining your championship. But that still doesn't mean anything until you've proven that you're better than me." And then Benoit says, "Oh, shut up, Kurt. We've all had enough of your bragging and your constant whining. It's time to grow up and face the facts that you're not better than me. You never have been better than me, and you never will be better than me. I've beaten you before, and I'd beat you again. Not only do you not deserve a title shot at this time, not only do you deserve a shot at this title or whatever, but you don't even deserve to step in the ring with me again." And that's when Flair says, Hold on. Chris, if you're so confident that you can beat Kurt, then why not one more match? Why not at SummerSlam, you put on that Intercontinental Championship, and to even sweeten the deal for you, Kurt will put up his United States Championship. And I imagine when Ric Flair says put up his United States title, Angle kind of just looks at him like, "What are you doing? Are you here?" Just kind of shocked, like, "Huh?" And then Flair responds, and we'll finally see who truly is the better man. Then Benoit responds. He's thinking for a little bit, and then he finally responds saying, "You know what? I'll accept those terms. Angle versus Benoit, one more time for both the belts. But this time, Kurt, I don't want any excuses after I beat you. So if we're going to do this, then we're going to do this until only one of us is left standing. It'll be me versus you for the Intercontinental and U.S. titles in a last man standing match." And then I'd imagine at this point, Kurt's just shaking his head no, like, no, we're not doing that. Until Ric Flair says, "You're on, Benoit." And once again, Kurt's just shocked, like, what are you doing? And Ric Flair says, "We'll see you at SummerSlam." Woo! And that leads us to a confirmation of what is going to take place at SummerSlam. Both the Intercontinental... The hell was it? Jesus, that scared me. I don't know if you... Actually, I know you guys didn't hear the noise because I didn't have it booked that way. That's what I totally meant to say. Oh, we're going to have a mud wrestling match between them. Either way, one of the noises happened in the background and it scared the living crap out of me. So we now know that Kurt Angle will once again battle Chris Benoit And honestly, I'll be honest with you, what is going to be probably the end of this feud with both the WWF and the WWF Intercontinental and the WCW United States Championship. I spelled the word Intercontinental wrong. Intercontinental is one of those words that I have to kind of like look at me smelling? Good lord. Look at me spelling them in order to get it right. I hope you guys don't hear that dog barking outside. If you do, there's a dog barking outside. So both the titles will be on the line as Kurt Angle, who is the WCW United States Champion and now a member of WCW, let's not forget that, takes on the WWF representative, and we cannot fit the champion thing in there, but whatever. Either way, we have it now. Last man standing match between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit for both the Intercontinental and United States Championship. I might actually shorten that just US so I can fit the championship thing in there. And either way, again, fans are starting to get bored, blah, 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 blah. Michael Cole was pretty weak apparently, but this did gain it some heat. Any worker improvements? Nope. So we then move on to a B-. We're backstage with Vince McMahon and William Regal, and Vince says, Mr. Regal, I've been meaning to have a talk with you. I've just been so busy with this whole invasion crap, but speaking of the invasion, you've got Lance Storm at SummerSlam. Now, of all the guys on the WCW side, Lance Storm has been the most disrespectful. Not only has he captured one of our titles and rebranded it under the WCW banner, but I don't know what the hell is going with there, but he also disrespected the entire European continent, spitting in the face of great European wrestlers such as Antonio Rocca, Ivan Putski, I almost pronounced that wrong, Nikolai Volkov, the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, and Dynamite Kid, Bruno Sammartino, and even the great Andre the Giant. Their legacies are riding on your shoulders at SummerSlam. So you know what I want you to do to Lance Storm? I want you to make an example out of him. And then Regal he says back to him, I promise to do that, and much more, Mr. McMahon. Lance Storm not only disgraced all of those names that you just mentioned, but he disgraced the name of the Queen. And that is something that I cannot let slide. So at SummerSlam, Mr. McMahon, I will make an example out of Lance Storm. I couldn't finish it, and I didn't really want to go to here to finish it because it was pretty much the end as always. So I feel like I had something else for Regal to say, but either way, just a way to kind of push along the Lance Storm Regal storyline. And yeah, I think we all know where I'm going. Vince McMahon came across well, and Regal and Lance Storm gained some heat. That is what we were looking for. We got a B- too. That's actually really great. Thank you, Vince McMahon, for the help there. So we move on to our next segment. Golly, I'm just pronouncing every word wrong. We go on to our next segment, a C+, and a bout that had decent wrestling but didn't have much way in heat. Kanyon defeating Hardcore Holly with a flatliner after we had Hugh Morrus interfere. This was for the Hardcore Championship, as is every match that Kanyon is in is for the Hardcore Championship, considering it's a 24/7 rule. The way I'd pretty much imagine this is Hardcore's looking pretty good until Hugh Morrus comes in, maybe hangs him on the ropes or something, rakes the eyes, I have no idea. Provides enough of the distraction for Kanyon to hit the flatliner to retain the championship, making his second defense of the championship. Oh, that's not good. Kanyon sustained a strained bicep in this match. Ooh, I don't like that. Also, Kanyon and Hardcore Holly have pretty good chemistry, so that's awesome. Kanyon had an in-ring performance of a B, and Hardcore Holly at a C+. No worker improvements. Hopefully that sustained biceps, not too bad. Yes, Michael Hayes, we know. We then go to a B-. This is a little surprising. A B- after the match is over. Kanyon, he's continuing, I imagine, with Hugh Morrus at this time. Booking this, I didn't have Hugh Morrus interfering, so that's why he's not really in this. Kanyon and Hugh Morrus, they continue their beatdown on Hardcore Holly, looking to injure the man, until Bradshaw comes racing down to the ring, but of course Kanyon and Hugh Morrus escape through the crowd with the title. Bradshaw then takes the mic and he says, You know, Canyon, for a hardcore champion, you sure are a little bitch. The hardcore championship has always been represented by those who are willing and ready to fight at all times, not by some guy who skates by doing the bare minimum. But that's okay, because, I just got done talking to Commissioner Foley, and it looks like you and I have a date for SummerSlam, and there will be no running then. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, don't forget to bring that hardcore title, because it will be on the line. So enjoy it while it lasts, because at SummerSlam, I'm going to kick your ass, and I'm going to take back what belongs to the WWF. Simple segment setting up what is going to take place at SummerSlam. So another match confirmed. Let's go ahead and book it in. Usually for the hardcore matches, I make them Aussie rules because it's still regular, but it leads, there's no DQ in it, so it kind of leaves what's the word I'm kind of looking for here? The fact that they could be using weapons or something, I guess. And there we go. Let's go ahead and put WWF Hardcore Championship. We got Bradshaw representing the WWF, battling Canyon, who represents WCW, and that will be that. So B- that sets up, and I'm still surprised with this. A B-, that's really good. The Canyon Bradshaw storyline gained some heat as well. So we move on to the next segment. Wow, a B. This is hey, that's pretty good, yeah. I'd imagine this is back from commercial break. We have Backstage, Canyon and Hugh Morrus. They're laughing about, what just happened. They're bragging about how, Hugh Morrus got in there to beat up Hardcore Holly, and they were going to injure him before dumbass Bradshaw walked in or something. And then we have Big Show walk into the camera shot, and he says, "You two think that's funny? You two should be ashamed, especially you, Canyon. Everything Bradshaw said about you out there was true. You're a disgrace to that championship, and if I had a ref with me right now, I'd make an example out of you." Speaking of examples, what about you, Hugh? You aren't scheduled for a match tonight, so since you think it's so funny to get involved in other people's matches, why don't you get involved in mine by facing me tonight? I'll see you out there. Don't make me go looking for you. Oh, and Canyon, if you decide to get involved in our match, then I promise you that you won't be holding that hardcore championship after tonight. And I imagine Big Show walking off while both Canyon and Hugh Morrus just kind of look there kind of stunned. Announcing job of Michael Cole was weak as always, but it did deserve better announcing, so there's that. Hugh Morrus was underwhelming, but that's fine. And then performance of Big Show was good. So if any of you get what I meant by that last thing, again, I fear stuff might go over people's heads. I assume the worst, I guess. I don't mean to insult you guys. But pretty much Big Show, again, 24/7 role on the hardcore title. Canyon gets involved. There's a referee out there. Big Show's pretty much saying, you get involved, I will not take you out. And then I'll be the hardcore champion because there's a referee out there. No worker improvements, though. That leads us to our next match, which gets a B-. Who would have expected that? A B- in a decent match. Big Show defeating Hugh Morrus in 6 minutes and 30 seconds with a choke slam. Big Show got an in-ring performance of a B. Hugh Morrus with a C. Nothing really special here. I haven't been using Big Show too often, and it's nothing against him. I just haven't, I have all these other storylines I got to cover, and Big Show's not really in a storyline, so this was just a way to get Big Show on TV, and I figured why not have Hugh Morrus take the loss since he caused Hardcore Holly. Unfortunately, that had provided, pushed along the Invasion WCW storyline, which wasn't really trying to do that. We move on to our next segment. I'd imagine this would be after a commercial break. Wow, got an A. That's surprising for having Teston and Albert in here, but we got an A. Brothers of Destruction, I should say. They make their way down to the ring while the announcers, of course, are putting over their recent issues with Test and Albert. Once in the ring, Undertaker takes the mic and he says, "Now, I'm not much for talking, so I'm going to get straight to my point. Test, Albert, I know that we're scheduled to meet at SummerSlam, but I can't wait that long. So I figured I'm out here. I'm ready to fight. So why don't one of you two, that's what I meant, get your ass down here, step in my yard, and let's fight." So after we wait a few seconds, I'd imagine them not coming out right away. TNA, they do make their way out to the entryway, and Test takes the mic and he says, "Are you serious?" "You can't be serious." Taker then goes, "Oh, I'm serious." And then Test says, you know what, Taker? If you want one of us to go down there and whoop your ass, if you want to risk me injuring you before our match, then so be it. You must have a lot of faith in your brother, because after tonight, when I'm done whooping your ass, Kane will be the only one at SummerSlam to defend those tag team titles. And then that sets up our next match will be between Test and The Undertaker. Nice little jab, though, pretty much saying he's going to take Taker out, and Kane's going to be the only one able to defend those titles. Trish helping Test during the segment, so that's pretty good. That probably helped out. Taker was fantastic. Kane was good. Albert underperformed, unfortunately, but it did gain this storyline some heat. Hey, that's really impressive. We then go to a C. Would have been all right if we had a B. We then go to a C in a good match. Undertaker and Test technically having a draw. This, again, was the sports entertainment finish that I've been using a little bit here lately. The match descended into chaos after Kane and Albert became involved, so pretty much the way I'd imagine it is Taker looks like he's about to, hit the last ride or something on him when Albert comes in, and before Albert hits Taker to do the disqualification, Kane gets in there in time, and he and Albert start brawling, which then allows Taker to, put Test down, and he starts brawling with Albert. Referee rings for the bell, and it just descends into chaos before the whole, all four men are just brawling until a bunch of people had to come out and separate them. Taker with an A star of a performance. That's awesome. And Test with a C+. It didn't lose us heat. That's one thing that makes me happy. Wow. Jesus. Thank you. I love when I see these A's. We then go to another A, and we see Ric Flair and Kurt Angle. They're backstage in the locker room. Angle is pacing back and forth. Of course, we saw earlier in the night how Ric Flair practically just put Angle in a last man standing match for his title. And then Flair says, Champ, what's wrong? What's bothering you? It isn't what Jericho said, was it? And Angle responds, look, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it was what Jericho said. I know your history. You made a career out of making others look like a fool. And then you just put me in a title match and a last man standing match without me even knowing. And I've got to be honest. I'm not really comfortable being referred to as a WCW guy. And then Flair says, look, Champ, you're right. I've got a history, but that's the past, and this is the now. And trust me when I say that the Nature Boy has your back, baby. But what do you mean you don't like being called a WCW guy? That's what you are now, Champ. And Angle says, I know you were saying how Mr. McMahon never had faith in me and never gave me a chance, but that's just not right. That's not the truth. I mean, Mr. McMahon took me in with no experience and gave me a chance. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have a great rookie year. Probably the best. I've won practically all the gold in WWF. If anything, I think our alliance could be, our alliance may be the thing that brings WWF and WCW together. We'd be stupid to try to end this war, at least from a financial point of view. This war between WWF and WCW is what led to some of the highest ratings for both companies. Competition brings out the best in everyone. And then Ric Flair responds, no. You don't get it, champ. It doesn't work like that. This war needs to end. Vince McMahon has been using people for years to get to the top. And then he'll bury you just as fast as when he's done with you. Just go and ask Bret Hart. Look, Kurt, you've got a decision to make. You can't be both a WWF and a WCW guy. You just can't. And you can't have Ric Flair in your corner if you're a WWF guy. So you need to make a final decision, and I hope for your sake you make the right one. I'll see you later, champ. And I'd imagine just the camera kind of panning on Kurt Angle's face while he just, not necessarily looking worried, but more like, I guess, stressed would be the word. Again, getting bored, which, patience. And Ric Flair and Kurt Angle, of course, enjoying their freedom to go off script. Wow, this got an A? We're doing really good. Another A rating as we see Triple H making his way down to the ring while the announcers put over what happened on Raw. Once in the ring, Triple H takes the mic and he says, Austin, get your ass out here right now. Oh, wait. That's right, I almost forgot. Austin isn't here tonight. He's at home taking care of his wife, Deborah, after what happened on Raw. And then we see a video package playing, or not a video package, but a video playing showing what happened on Raw to Deborah. And I don't believe I mentioned this on Raw, which stupid me, because I wish I was supposed to. But pretty much what happened on Raw that I didn't mention is Triple H pedigreed Deborah to allow Trish to get the win. So that was my bad. And then once it's done, we go back to Triple H. He's in the ring laughing. He says, not so funny when it happens to you, is it, Austin? What happened to Deborah was revenge for what you did to my wife. What happened to Deborah is what's going to happen to you at SummerSlam. But before he can continue going on, we hear the big quiche. Rikishi's music hits as he makes his way down to the ring, and he says, excuse me, real quick. And he says, you really find that funny? You really think that makes you look strong? You really think that you're still a man after what you did to Deborah? No, you're just a sad excuse of a human. And then Triple H responds, that's coming from the guy who has shoved his ass in front of males and females alike. Leave my ring until I send you back to the hospital and injure you once again. And then Rikishi pretty much responds saying, is that a challenge, Triple H? Because I'll tell you what, after what you did to Deborah, I have no problem whooping your ass here tonight. And then I don't really know what else. Again, I couldn't finish it, and I didn't really have much else to say, so I didn't really finish it here. But pretty much this leads to a match between the two that's going to be coming up next. Stephanie and Triple H, of course, have great chemistry. Triple H was good, but Rikishi looked dreadful. So I'm assuming Austin's overness helped this. Either way, we go to our semi-main event, a B-, not too bad. In a good match, Triple H defeating Rikishi in 7 minutes and 38 seconds by pinfall with a pedigree. Triple H and Stephanie once again have great chemistry. Match deserves better announcing as always. Triple H had an in-ring performance of an A, Rikishi at a C+. No worker improvements, unfortunately. We then move on to our next segment. This is before the match, nothing really special here. I got a B though, so that's pretty awesome. We see Booker T and Diamond Dallas Page. We can't hear what they're talking about, but we see them talking to each other backstage, and it seems like the two are going over some sort of plan. And then we go on to another camera where we see Chris Jericho making his way down to the ring for the match. And apparently this lost heat for that feud. Okay. So we go on to the match, which gets us a B-. Man, I wish this would have done a little better. A little bit better would have been cool. Either way, though, in a superb match, Chris Jericho drawing with Diamond Dallas Page. Again, I might have overused it a little bit, but we have kind of a sports entertainment finish here. Descended into chaos after we saw Benoit, Booker T, Rock, and Kurt Angle all become involved. Rock was on commentary for this match. I don't know if I can show it at all. No, I can't. So The Rock was on commentary for this match. And basically, how I'd imagine it happening is Chris Jericho, has the walls of Jericho locked in on Diamond Dallas Page, which then leads to Booker T coming out, and probably even Kurt Angle. Yeah, probably we'll have both Kurt Angle and Booker T making their way down to the ring. They get in there, and then we see The Rock come in there, and Rock and Jericho are both battling Booker T and Kurt Angle. And then, of course, the referee's already rang the bell by now, throw it out, the match is thrown out. And then we see Diamond Dallas Page jump Rock from behind, so now we have 3 men battling 2 men, and then here comes Chris Benoit racing down, so we have all, 6 men in the ring just battling back and forth, and that does that. So Jericho had an in-ring performance of an A, and Diamond Dallas Page with a B-. Unfortunately, both Rock and DDP and Jericho and Booker T lost heat in their storylines. It's a bit of a shame. So we end the show. That's fine. There is no turns. And we got a B+. Not too bad. B+, increasing our popularity in 10 regions. And we also get to see the man supreme. So yeah. I got to find out how long Canyon is injured before we end. Oh, look, Brian Clark, fully fit. I totally forgot Brian Clark wasn't, he's not going to miss any time, so that means it shouldn't go too long. Let's see. Oh, Taz has returned to the company. Brian Clark recovered, as we said. Rhino has changed his body type. He's now rated as toned. So Canyon sustained a strained bicep. Let's see how long he's injured for. Physical is what I'm looking for. There we go. Oh, it doesn't show you no more. Well, shit. I'm going to have to go and double check on the other screen then. And then Canyon says Hardcore Holly doesn't connect with the fans, in my opinion, and has little upside. Jeez, you just battled the dude. I don't know if I trust your opinion all much because he kind of injured you as well. What am I looking for? Medical. So Canyon is out for 5 days. That's not bad at all, actually. So that's fine with me. Other than that, Nerds and Geeks, that's going to be the end of this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, my name has been OMG, WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB, and I'll see you guys for Sunday Night Heat. So until then, have a wonderful day.